Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Scott Mann Podcast. You know, every one of these episodes is so much fun, but this one I am super excited because I get to spend time with my dear friend, mentor, coach, Bo Eason. So I'm going to read you a few things from his bio, and then I'm going to share a few things with you, and we're going to get started. So Bo Eason is a former NFL All-Pro football player who spent time with the Houston Oilers franchise as well as the San Francisco 49ers before he faced a debilitating injury and then became an actor and a playwright and ultimately a public speaker and story coach, probably one of the most prolific story coaches in the world. He also wrote and performed a one-person show called Runt of the Litter, which is a really, really amazing play that went off Broadway, and it's about his evolution as a pro football player, starting off as a runt, growing up on a ranch in Northern California. And it's just it went all the way to Broadway. He now trains high performers, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, veterans, C-suite executives on how to communicate for maximum impact and success. He is the author of the amazing book, There's No Plan B for Your A Game, and it's Be the Best in the World at What You Do. And it hit the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, and USA Today bestseller lists. Now, that's his bio. I will tell you, Bo is one of the most impactful mentors, him, Stephen Pressfield, and a couple others, my father, that I've ever had. Bo changed my life as I came out of the military at a time when it needed changing, at a time when I was really going through it. He defined for me and showed me a pathway in my transition into strategic storytelling, hell, that I'm still on today. But what's so amazing with this dude is that he is so generous, and, you know, he doesn't get his back up. He doesn't get, uber competitive about, teaching and training. He pours himself into the people he trains. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about as we get started with this episode. Without any further ado, let's jump into my interview with Bo Eason. I'll see you on the other side. Welcome to the Scott Mann Podcast, where we connect like our lives depend on it. Really glad you're here, man. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
There's so much I want to talk about, but I always love to start with your story, because your story, when I heard your story for the first time, I was in a really dark spot. I was going through a ton of stuff, and I tell people now, like, when I every stage I speak on, I talk about my mental health. I talk about the Army and that stuff, but I talk about coming home and what that was like for me. And I say that, had I not met you, I don't know what would have happened in my life. Like, it totally changed the trajectory of my life. I equate it to Mark in the soda shop, when I met him as a Green Beret.
Yeah.
And it was hearing your story. Of what you went through, not just as a runt, but then when you were carried off the field as well. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I just think it's such an important story for people to hear.
Yeah. The story, because some people, say, well, who wants to know my story? Or I don't want to brag or talk about myself or tell my story. It's not about me, it's about you. But that's all false. That's to keep people weak. And it is. And when you learn your story and you tell your story, you get your strength.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's not selfish, because people see themselves inside of your story.
Yeah.
They're going to locate themselves somewhere.
Yeah.
If they see you on stage or on camera or they see us here today.
Yeah.
They're going to locate themselves with us somewhere along this journey.
Yeah.
That we're here on this podcast. And because that's what people do.
Yeah.
When you go to a Tom Cruise movie or a Brad Pitt movie, I'm locating myself with them.
Yeah.
I'm going, oh, that's me.
It's relatability.
Yeah. I'm like that, or I wish I was like that, or I used to be like that.
Right.
And that's exactly what you heard the first time you saw me speak.
100%.
Yeah. I said that I didn't know what I was going to do with my life now that my dream was over.
You said, I'm going to go to prison.
Yeah, that's my best option.
Yeah,
And,
because of what you knew how to do, right?
Yeah, I was trained to be great at violence and was great at it. And when that's no longer legal, you enter the civilian world, it's not legal anymore to do what I used to get paid a lot of money to do and a lot of pats on the back to do.
Yeah.
And the more violence I could intimidate people with, the more I would get paid or the more I would get applause.
Right.
So it's kind of built into that sport.
Yeah.
It used to be anyway. It's shifted now.
Yeah.
And so you coming home from the military actually locate yourself inside a guy who is like you, trained to do something really great and has a lot of accolades to show for it. And now it's not okay.
No.
And so what's the next best choice? Prison, crime, hurting people, hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Someone's going to get hurt. It's you, somebody else, because that's what we've been trained to do. That's why storytelling is so valuable, because a guy like you then gets his life through seeing somebody else's story. And then your whole life unravels for you, and unravels in a good way, like exposes itself to you and the good that you can do and the empowerment that you can have on other people is all based on you seeing somebody else who did it and you go, I can do that. And now, Scott, think about how this fans out.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Right?
It's just crazy. But did you know, because like I was lucky because I had you in that moment, the same way I kind of had Mark in the soda shop, the mentor when I saw as a Green Beret, told me his story, and I located myself in his story at 14. I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Yep.
But then when I heard you talk about, as you had been injured that last time you were coming off the field and you knew that you were going to have to do something different, did you know then that you were going to go into storytelling and acting, or like what? How did you? Because you didn't have anybody.
Yeah.
How did you find it?
Yeah, I had I was being wheeled off on a stretcher.
Yep.
And it was in the Orange Bowl in Miami. We're playing the Dolphins when the Dolphins were really good, like Dan Marino and the Mark
we'll
brothers.
show that picture too. I want to show that picture, Kevin, because that's because you can tell you're thinking about something else as you're coming off the field.
Yeah, my hand is like, I'm on a stretcher, but I'm sitting up like this, like the thinker almost, like, what the hell am I going to do now? Because, when a football player gets injured and you all you're thinking about is rehab and surgery and all that kind of stuff. But this was my 7th one, right? So I was like going, damn, this shit, it's over.
Yeah.
I got to find something to put this, what I called TNT.
Yeah.
This TNT that I feel inside my body made me great at this one thing that's not legal anymore in the civilian world. And now I got to find a place. And as I'm being wheeled off, I swear I thought prison on one side. I go, that's a choice. Like, hurting people, hurting myself. And then to avoid that thought in literally seconds, I thought of New York City. Not story specifically, but I knew that I knew that was the place where I knew they told stories on a stage.
Wow.
And I just thought, because I'd never done a play up to that point, never done it, I'd seen plays and I liked them.
Yeah.
But I didn't admit I liked them. Or like I didn't tell my teammates, hey guys, I love the theater.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's like I snuck off to when we were doing Last Out. I didn't tell anybody that I was training with Carl and Larry in New York. I was like, that's a death wish.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So I secretly liked it. I knew New York City was a place that told stories.
Yeah.
And had great storytellers. And they did it on a stage. That was the thing that got me. And so, went back to Houston, finished that season, had surgery, finished all the rehab, and moved to New York City. And I saved, all my football money. So because I figured whatever I was going to go into next after football, that I would need money to train at whatever that was going to be. And it was true. So I saved,
move.
Yeah. And so I had all this money. I had years of money to be able to train instead of wait tables.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, just kind of submerged myself into the training of storytelling. So writing, physicality, acting, performing on a stage presence, theater, and would go to the theater all the time in New York.
Yeah.
And was just kind of there by myself, just doing that. I had nothing. I had nothing else holding me back.
No distractions.
Nothing.
Now, you told me, I can't remember, but when you went through your transition, you said you did a lot of bass fishing.
Yeah.
And you kind of went home for that. Was there a period of time where you felt kind of in between, or in other words, I guess what I'm asking is when you came out of football, which you had wanted to do since you were a little guy.
Yeah.
Did you find that you gravitated right into the acting and you were good, or was there kind of a period where you were kind of not sure?
Yeah. When I had that surgery for the 7th time and I knew it was over, my brother called me, who was still playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
He called me, goes, "Hey, why don't you just do what you always love doing? Go buy that bass boat and go fishing." And so I had a cast on for 8 weeks or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I bought a bass boat. I grew up on the Delta. I grew up on the water.
Yeah.
And a lot of bass fishing, a lot of great fishing. And that's what I did. My whole rehab, the whole surgery, the whole cast of 8 weeks, then the rehab after that was all done in my little town.
Yeah.
And I would drive into Sacramento to get my rehab, and I would fish every morning on the Delta. In fact, for like 6 months of the rehab, Scott, I had a Jeep at that time, and the boat never was not hooked to the Jeep.
In all that time?
In all that time. So I had a bass boat on the back of the Jeep for 6 months straight that never came off, and every morning I was just in. And my mom used to come with me. My dad would come with me because I had a cast on. And they were afraid I was going to drown. They were afraid I was going to fall in, and it was straight. And it was back then it was a big ass heavy cast.
When you look back on that time, what does that time mean to you? Like that time with your mom and your dad on the water, figuring it out.
It was a lot of dawns, not dawns, but sunrise.
Yeah.
Every morning, it was a sunrise. It was a sunrise. It was a sunrise. A lot of them with my mom and dad, and they were like, they really didn't say anything. They just let me. It was kind of like therapy, and because I didn't know therapy at that point, I didn't really. I heard of it, but I wasn't. Our family didn't do that.
Right, because your dad was so instrumental and your mom too, but in your dream, every morning he's waking you up, rubbing your back, telling you that you're the best. And I guess I never thought about the fact that he was there when it came to a conclusion as well.
Yeah, he was. Wow. And he would get a rod and he would throw. He's a terrible fisherman. He hated fishing.
My dad couldn't even pick a pole up, but he would take us fishing.
Yeah.
He taught us how to fish, but he never fished.
Right.
Weird.
Well, my dad, every once in a while would pick up a rod. And I'm like, "Dad, throw it on that lily pad. Throw it on that stump over there."
Yeah.
And he's the worst. He'll throw it in a tree. And I don't think he enjoyed fishing at all. He just did what he always did, which was just hold space for his kids. Wow. To
Yeah, at that point when you really needed it to figure this out.
Well, yeah, because I did. And funny enough, if my kids were going through that, I just have a feeling I would overcoach them and overhelp them. And he didn't. He was never like that.
My dad did that when I came back from the war the first time in 2005. It was really because he was kind of like that with me. Like he was, he would write me letters. Still in Afghanistan, he would write handwritten letters.
Yeah.
But I remember when I came home, he would just sit with me. He wouldn't say much. He would just say, "We're going to get through this." And he would just sit there, And even when Pineapple Express happened and we were trying to get guys out, he would sit there and watch me just deal with it. But he just wanted me to know he was there.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like you said, I wonder if I'll show up correctly for that moment when, or if I'll try to like, no, you need to do this.
Yeah.
I hope it's the former.
I think we will, only because we're recognizing it now.
They showed us how to do it, didn't they?
Yeah. And I think most coaches overcoach.
Yeah.
And smart coaches just stand there and allow you the space to go where you need to go.
Yeah, you still do that when you coach at your workshops, when people do their one true sentence. It's amazing to watch you coach all of these different people from different backgrounds. When you went to New York and you started theater and you started acting, did you know right away that this is where you needed to be?
Yep.
You knew.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. What was it that you liked?
Well, everybody in my class was much younger than me because I had been playing, and they were kind of fresh out of college or didn't even go to college, like from high school.
Yeah.
So in between 18 and 22, I would guess, all these students, and they wanted to be great. The teacher wanted them to be great.
Some of them went on to be great, right?
Yeah. Some of them were amazing. And I loved just the pretending I was some character that didn't say the things that I would normally say.
Okay.
I like that freedom and permission that gave me. And the teachers would push all the time. They would always push and go, you know what? You can go further. And I was always afraid to push too far because I thought I was going to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
And they always encouraged me, especially the smart teachers, you're not going to hurt anybody. You got to trust yourself. You're not the guy you were. You're not doing that occupation anymore.
I just see so many parallels, Bo, and I know you and I have talked about this a million times, but I find myself at 56 still in a lot of work with veterans they're finding their way into the arts, whether it's performing arts or fine arts, or it's just, music to just heal themselves, but they're finding their way into it. And I see the same thing as this one, a challenge to tolerate themselves when they're alone and when they're in that space, but the other is this fear that they're going to hurt somebody or that they can't commit themselves, as you say, with generosity to this thing. What would you say to that?
Yeah, it's I don't talk about this much, but at my events, as you know, we have a psychologist, a really well-known, amazing psychologist, Dr. Joan Rosenberg.
She's amazing.
Yeah. And
she helped me so much.
Yeah. She when we take her to places, like I'll have a speech or a workshop somewhere, we'll take her with us. And some of the people will go, well, why is a psychologist going with you? These people are in finance. They don't want to talk to a psychologist. And inevitably, we'll look over in the middle of the event, and there'll be a line of financial advisors waiting to talk to the psychologist, Dr. Joan, because story brings that stuff up.
It does.
It's very healing, as you know. And it makes you, which we're all looking to be, resolute.
Yeah.
Story causes you, it heals you and causes you to be resolute about what you've gone through and that you're not going to do that again.
Yeah.
You're okay.
What was your saying? The hay's in the barn?
Yeah. All the work's done. All the hay's in the barn, boys.
Yeah.
It's game time.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
And something about the stage, figuratively, like just the space that it gave me, I felt like people were safe.
Yeah.
From me.
Yeah.
And as I got resolute about that healing and about going through that stuff and being pushed, I said to myself, finally, I can do whatever I want up here, and everybody's safe, including me.
At what point, because you really an amazing actor, and you could have easily stayed in that space and gone on and gone even further, but a lot of people. I talk all the time about you as my mentor, and I know a lot of other people do too, because you, frankly, for us, and not just veterans, but a lot of storytellers today, they look at what you did. You pioneered a whole movement, I think. But what some people don't know is that you had to go through your own evolution to get to that point where you were even doing that? I mean, like you went through your own evolution as an actor, as a playwright. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you really took a direction that a lot of actors don't take.
Yeah.
And I think it really defined what you do today.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Because, an actor, when you're training to be an actor and you want to be an actor and you feel like you got some capability in that department, you turn into a victim a lot. It's a choice that a lot of people want to be victimized by the acting industry or Hollywood in general.
Right.
And because you can go, oh, Hollywood's against me. Oh, they wanted a guy better looking.
Yeah.
Oh, they wanted a guy taller. They didn't choose me.
So it becomes an industry thing.
Yes, it becomes you're waiting for somebody to choose you. A phone to ring says you can have a job.
Gotcha.
And I was guilty of that. And I got some jobs. So I was like, oh, okay, I got this job. Maybe it's going to happen. And then it would never happen with the words that I wanted to say. There's guys who I can say their names right now, and they were getting to say those words. And that was Tom Cruise, and that was Nicolas Cage, and that was Brad Pitt, and that was guys who are legit movie stars, got the best scripts because they're movie stars.
Yeah.
And they're great at what they do.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, I'm never going to catch up to these guys because that's just too big of a head start they have on me.
Yeah.
So I have to create the words myself. I have to take ownership of the vehicle that will allow me to say those words.
Yeah.
And so I went to all my buddies who were in Hollywood as writers, and they were good writers, and they're working on TV and movies, and they're writing stuff. I went to every one of them. I go, I got this good story. It's a brotherhood story. It's, it's about playing in the NFL or dreams. And they liked it all. And I said, will you write it? And they're like, no, won't write it.
Why?
Because they said I would be better at writing it than they would.
I'll be damned.
And you know what? They were right.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see it at that point.
Right.
I was like, no, I can't spell. I don't have a computer. I had some legal pads and a pen, never written anything. And so they swore to me that I would be better at telling this story than them.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe them, but I just, started.
Yeah.
I just started writing. And there was a place in Hollywood just down the street from where I lived. And Dawn.
Now, you guys were married at this point?
No, we were engaged.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. We were engaged and, had dated for 4 years, and now we're engaged and didn't have any income coming in. We were delivering food to celebrities who were our friends, and they didn't know we were delivering their food because it happened in the middle of the night or like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So our celebrity friends didn't know we were delivering their meals to them on their porch, right? We see their name on the top. We know where they live.
Yeah.
And, we used to get invited to those parties, and now we're like, they didn't know anything was going on. I was writing at a bookstore. We were delivering food, me and Dawn both. So our agents had dumped us, but at the same time.
Yeah.
And managers and stuff. And so we both didn't have any way to make money.
Yeah.
So I started writing. And there was a Barnes & Noble bookstore right down the street from where Dawn and I lived. And it gave you, if you bought a coffee or bought a book, they gave you 3 hours of free parking. So I would go in there with enough money to get a coffee because I served coffee in there, and that would buy me 3 hours. So I go, perfect. I get 3 hours of parking. In LA. Now, people from all over the country, they might be going, well, that sounds like some bullshit. Parking in LA. Yes, you're right. It is. It is one of the most stressful things there is in your life.
Yeah.
Parking when you live in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
So 3 hours of free parking, that was my window. And I got a coffee, got my little thing stamped, and sat there for 3 hours. Now and this took 2 years.
Yeah.
This was 2 years straight of that. And some of those 3-hour days were just sitting there, twiddling my thumbs, staring at books, or wandering around in the bookstore, just not knowing what the hell I'm even doing with my life. But then some days I would actually cuss at God, like say bad words to God, like, what the hell you put me through this shit for? I was an NFL player. I could, why'd you take that away? I could make money doing that. And now I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't feel any capability of being able to do that.
So was it just you showing up and doing your work day after day like that it finally broke? Like what broke?
Yeah, I was trained enough in acting, because acting is all about like getting the right script.
Yeah.
A good performance is all based on the writer.
Yeah.
And the writer is king in New York. The writer is king in Broadway and off Broadway.
And you were trained by some of the best at respecting the writing.
Yes, that very much so. Like, that's religious. That's, yeah. You do not go outside the line. The writer is king. So I respected that. I just didn't think I could do it. And I just wrote. I just filled page after page after page. And you've seen that book where it's all filled. And I would draw pictures when I couldn't write anymore of what I thought the performance would look like.
Yeah.
And initially I wrote it for several characters. The play was for several characters. And then I narrowed it down to 2 characters. And then somebody said, how are you going to get, because I told somebody that I was going to do this play for 20 years. Like I was just never going to go away until it was a success, kind of like my football career. So I knew that would work. And then somebody said, well, how are you going to get other actors to commit 20 years of their life and get paid like theaters don't get paid much,
No.
So how are you going to do that? And I didn't know. I didn't have an answer. So I wrote a one-man show.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah. So I made
That's what took you to the one-man show. Was literally the logistics of it.
Yep.
Wow.
Which I did not want to do.
Yeah, I get it.
And I didn't want to do the whole thing. I wanted the brother to be another actor.
Yeah.
And that saved me because I knew I was going to show up, but I didn't know if another person was going to show up.
Right.
For 20 years.
Right. And now I can't imagine it any other way.
Yeah.
You're talking about Run of the Litter, which is an amazing, amazing one-man show, went off Broadway. But I can't imagine it with other actors now.
I know, right?
No way.
You don't think about it that way. Yeah.
No.
So that, that really saved me. I had enough acting chops at that point to get it started, get it on its feet.
Yeah.
And then met a guy, Larry Moss, who he just saw people very clearly.
He does.
Performers very clearly. And all the stuff that I was trying to hide and every other actor was trying to hide inside of his class, that's exactly where he goes.
Yeah.
He goes to the spot that you're trying not to talk about.
Yeah.
He goes, what about this part? And I go, no, don't go there.
There's nothing there. Let's move on.
There. He's like, what about these scars on your knees? I go, no, it's all right. It's fine. He goes, well, what if they could talk? What if those scars could talk? And that's when I knew, because that's when I hit the floor.
Yeah.
So I go, okay. And then that's when I later found out, decided to direct the piece because of what happened when he asked me that question.
Wow.
I couldn't talk. I couldn't. I didn't have the words yet to be able to speak for the the setbacks. And that's when we started working together. And so that took a couple of years of rehearsals and just putting it up for invited groups.
Yeah.
Little 7 people, 20 people, 25 people. And my Dawn, who we were married at this point, newlyweds, she would bring burritos for the crowd. Burritos for the audience. And then later this place called Krispy Kreme's opened up.
Yeah, baby.
In Hollywood. So she started bringing Krispy Kreme's donuts. The only way we could get people to stay, to come see your one-man show, that no one wants to come to is food.
Everything.
Because everybody, has to eat.
Yeah.
And that's how we started. And that's how Larry Moss, got involved, directed the
What was the
show.
total time, Bo, from the time that you started moving the pen until that thing went off Broadway? You know?
2 years at Barnes & Noble, probably a year and a half, 2 years of rehearsal. So probably, 4. Then we did, we performed it like no one paid to come see it. It was workshops.
Right.
Then we opened the play. Actually, we didn't go to New York initially. We went to Houston because that's where I played.
Right.
So there was a theater in Houston that, my wife called and said, hey, we have a former player who is now a playwright of the Houston Oilers. This seems like a perfect match. Let's open this play in Houston. And that's why we opened in Houston.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How long did it run there?
It was like a limited run. So
Okay.
it was, it seemed like forever to me because you're performing every night. It was probably 6 to 8 weeks, something like that.
And you guys were all in, like you fully committed to this. Like
Yes.
there was no, there's no plan B, was there? I mean,
Yeah,
just
it
like
was
your
really-
book says.
Yeah, we had nothing else. But during the run in Houston, all my teammates were coming in, football fans would come and people liked it, right?
Right.
So back home in Hollywood, all of a sudden we get a call saying Frank Darabont came to one of our workshops when we were in LA. So we knew that. I knew that he was there because I met him afterwards. It was a little workshop right here, like a block from where we're sitting right now, Scott. 3rd Street Promenade, right here in Santa Monica, California. Larry Moss's acting class was there. So we had this little workshop where we invited guests, and people would show or not show, but some dude showed, and he was sitting there watching me do this play. Now, Dawn is over there, like sitting right there on the other side of where the cameras are set up, with a boombox hitting the cues, the sound effects for the play.
Love it.
And there's a voice that Larry Moss would do the voice. 10 seconds to game time. It was so remedial. It was just like a workshop.
Yeah.
And in this workshop was a guy who came up to me after the show was over, and I didn't know who he was. I never seen his face before. And he goes, hey, I love this play. I would like this to be my next movie.
Wow.
And I go, that's cool. Who are you? And he goes, I'm Frank Darabont. And I go, oh shit, you're Frank Darabont? Because I'd never seen Frank Darabont. Yeah. Well, for people who don't know, Frank Darabont is the guy who wrote The Shawshank Redemption and directed it. He's the guy who wrote Green Mile.
Yep.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
They created The Walking Dead. I mean, he had been nominated for 12 Academy Awards at that point.
Right.
When he said, because I knew who Frank Darabont was, but I never seen his face.
Right.
Because he's a director, writer. He's behind the scenes. I go, you're Frank Darabont? He goes, yeah. And so we take off for Houston. So we're in Houston. All of a sudden, we have to fly back home in the middle of performing this play, and that no one really knows about except people in Houston. And we have a meeting with Castle Rock Pictures.
Wow.
Which is what his deal was with. And I don't know if you remember who ran Castle Rock Pictures, but it was Rob Reiner's company.
Right.
Right. And they had just made A Few Good Men, and they made Princess Bride, and they made some great movies. And so we're there in Beverly Hills with, Rob Reiner, Frank Darabont, the people, the muckety mucks are in an office, kind of this size. And they go, Bo, pitch the movie to us. And I go, I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Pitch. We want to make this movie. Pitch it to us. I don't know what that means. So I just tell them the story.
Yeah.
I just like this. I start telling the story of the play. I'm starting to tell a story. Well, But I get about halfway through it and they go, okay, we want this movie.
Wow.
Here, like, who's your agent? We go, we got dumped. We don't have an agent. And all of a sudden we had, I swear, within 24 hours, this is how this town works. In 24 hours, we go from being unemployed and no agents to every agent now wants, because they know there's a property that Frank Darabont is going to make.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Crazy.
So now that, and coming off the heels of Shawshank and Green Mile and, you know what I mean? So then we get done with this meeting. We're like shaking their hands. We got to go back to Houston. We got a show tonight or tomorrow or whatever. And we had to be back to Houston to do the performance of this play. So then, unbeknownst to us, Hollywood is circling the wagons around this property that this guy who's been nominated for 12 Academy Awards wants to direct. So we do all the negotiations, and it was more money than I made in football. It was more money than pro athletes make. And all of a sudden, we were members of the club that we did not belong to, you know, like that. And then all the movie stars came out because they wanted to play the role in this movie.
Right.
That wasn't even a movie yet. That hadn't even been written yet. So every leading man, young leading man, from Tom Cruise to Nicolas Cage, all the guys I was jealous of that were taking the roles, Brad Pitt, all those guys were now at some little shitty...
In the audience of your play.
Audience. Tiny audiences, 99 seaters. So 99 seats with...
Wow.
It was so surreal to even talk about this, but I remember coming out on the stage, and typically I'd come out and there'd be 7 people sometimes.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Right? And they all came in the same car, you know. It was just sad. It was pitiful sometimes. And then I came out the night that Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire were to be there because they were interested in playing that role that I play on stage, that I'm kind of too old to play in the movie. But there was no screenplay, Scott. It was just a play with me and Dawn up in the light booth, pregnant with one of our kids and a 10-pound baby, and can't get into the light booth because you have to go up a ladder in a hole. And she didn't fit through the hole to get into the sound booth. Crazy shit. And so this particular performance, I come running out. And typically I kind of slap the front row's hands, right? And they reach their hand out, right in the front row. And on this particular show, I come running out, and Tobey Maguire and Leonardo DiCaprio are sitting in the front row with their posse, right? And they don't
entourage.
Yeah, they got entourage. They got girls. They got, you know, they're kind of leaning back a little bit. They're not like sitting on the edge of their seat like I would be ready for a play. They're kind of chilling. They're kind of got their Starbucks. I remember, you know, kind of drinking it during the show. And I come out, I slap them, and I slap their hands.
Yeah.
Those two have been friends since they were like 7.
Yeah.
But they had always wanted to do a movie together.
Right.
And they never had up to that point. They hadn't done The Great Gatsby at that point. So come running out, slap them. I do the show. And this is the only time I've ever done the show, or the first time that I had ever done the show, where not one person was looking at me during the show. Like the whole audience, which was packed, shockingly.
Yeah.
Right? It was packed. Not to see the show, but to see those guys watch the show. And so the whole play, I'm like giving everything I got, right? Because I want this thing to work out.
Yeah.
I'm performing my ass off.
And they're looking down here.
They ain't even looking. They're looking. They're going like this. Are these guys liking the show? And if they liked it, then the audience liked it.
So how did you handle that? Like, I mean, how do you handle that? How do you handle coming out and there's 7 people sitting there? How do you deal with that?
It's very humbling when there's 7 people,
Yeah.
and that's just the theater. Sometimes it's packed and it's
Yeah.
a lively audience that's been drinking and ready to party. And then some nights it's crickets.
Yeah.
And people, and the inevitably there would be a guy or a gal in the front row, and they always have to sit in the front row. I don't know why, but they're asleep. They're sleeping. And this happened in New York all the time.
Yeah.
When this play had some notoriety and had some backing, it was being, groomed to be a movie, there would always be somebody in the front row asleep. And I'm like, geez. And after the show, that would be the person who would come backstage and knock on the stage door, and you'd open it, and it'd be the person who was asleep for 90 minutes. And they would go, I just wanted to thank you. That was the greatest thing. That was the greatest performance that I've ever seen. And I'm like, yeah, you should inform your face of that. And I think after years of this happening all the time, I would be so mad at them. But in reality, I probably gave them the best 90 minutes of their week because they got a good nap.
Yeah.
They went to a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their wife's happy because they took them to a show, but they slept through the whole thing.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. You did good, man. That was good. I was dreaming. I was caught up on some shut-eye.
So then this thing goes to New York.
Yeah.
It just keeps kind of evolving. Is the film still kind of in the works at that point as well?
Yeah.
So
yeah, we worked on the film for 2 years. So the contract,
yeah,
I think they call it an option. They option the play for 2 years.
yeah,
And during that 2 years, if they don't get that movie made, then it refers back to me, and I can option it to another company. So that was that. And during those 2 years, we were in New York.
Yeah.
I remember writing the screenplay or a draft of the screenplay, while trying to recover from the show last night. You see what I mean?
yeah, man.
And I remember that being really stressful.
Yeah.
And then I remember Darabont and those guys coming to New York in our apartment that the producers got us. It was down in Soho, and that's where we lived. And we'd do the show every day. And we'd have writing meetings during the day, like for a week at a time. And so at that time, Scott, I'd never written a screenplay in my life, right? I got hired to write the screenplay because Darabont said, I'm not writing it, you write it. And I'm like, well, you're the Academy Award winner. I mean, you wrote the first 40 minutes of Saving Private Ryan, man. That's like the best I've seen. Why don't you write it? And he's like, you're going to write it because you can write it better.
Huh.
And that taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Somebody great tells you that.
Yeah.
It just goes back to how we started this podcast, Scott, when we said, how do you know that you can do this when people are great and they see that greatness in you? Like, no, it's personal to you. That's why it's going to be effective. I don't give a crap if you know how to write. It's inside your bones. So it's going to mean more if you can get what's inside of you down on the paper.
And then out into the world.
Then out into the world.
Yeah.
Which that's the healing aspect, right? Yeah. So Frank Darabont, regardless of the awards he's been nominated for, he knows because I live the story that it's going to be more effective. Even though I didn't know shit about writing.
So as this thing's evolving and growing, are you starting to get the itch to speak on stages and things? Like, how is that starting to come into your
Not
mind?
yet.
Okay.
That hadn't entered my mind. I didn't really know that world.
Yeah.
It was all, I got hired not only to write Run to the Litter, but I got hired to write several other screenplays, including one from DiCaprio, and Tobey Maguire hired me to write a screenplay for them.
Wow.
So that was really, that pays a lot of money, and that was money that we didn't have.
Yeah.
And we didn't understand. And that kind of took all of our time. You know, we're doing the play and then writing screenplays kind of simultaneously.
Yeah.
And then trying to get our movie made for we really were driving at that because that's where you can really make a difference. So over those 2 years, Castle Rock and Frank Darabont now don't own the property. It came back to me and Dawn, and then other studios started to go, oh, well, we want that as a movie. What's the option and how long can we have it for? So we decided not to ever option it again just because the Paramount Pictures would come and go, we want to make this movie like this and like that. And I'm like, no, that's just stupid. What was the question you asked?
Well, I think where we were going was how did the play get to the point where it was in New York, and then ultimately how you evolved into what you're doing now?
Oh yeah, what I do now. So in New York, I do the play. The play is a one-man show, right?
Yeah.
So we do Q&As like you've done after your shows, and which is, if anybody's going to do that, do Q&As afterwards.
Best advice well, not the best. I mean, you gave me tons of advice, but that was certainly one of the biggest ones you ever told me because the audience is smart.
Yep.
They'll give you good advice.
Yep, and they will create your future for you.
Yeah.
Based on what they're asking for.
Yeah, and they do.
Yeah, and so we would do that every time we did a show, or after the shows in New York, people would come backstage and they'd congratulate us or whatever. And inevitably, it would come down to, hey, can you bring this to my company, this play? And we're like, no. What do you mean? This is a theater piece. Yeah. People have to come to the theater to see this. We didn't understand what they were asking.
Right.
But they were like titans of industry. They were Wall Street guys and, people who own companies and CEOs and stuff. And they would say, bring this to our company, bring this to our company. And for like 6 or 7 years, we said no. We said, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't do that. And then one guy said, I want you to bring this to my company. It's our 100th year anniversary. And we're doing it in Hawaii. And we go, oh, we can bring the play to Hawaii. Here's what they didn't want. They didn't want the play. They wanted their people. This was an insurance company. They wanted their people to be able to tell their story like I tell mine on stage. That's what they wanted. Wow. And we would have never known that had we not done Q&As and gone to businesses. Because they're like, okay, how can you get our sales team, our leadership team to do what you just did on stage?
Yeah.
And they go, can you teach us to do that? And I was like, I guess I could because I had learned to do it.
Yeah.
So I can retrace my steps. I can learn to do it and teach your people to do it. And that's what we started doing.
Yeah. And I tell you, when I came to your event, well, I first saw you speak at Brendan's event at the World's Greatest Speaker. I saw you speak there. And I knew, and at that point, I was in such a low point in my life that, that was it for me. Like I didn't know what else I was going to do, but I kind of like you knew I had something to say. Yeah. But I had no idea how to do it. And every time I would try to do it, I would lock up big time. And then I see you up there doing that. And I thought, man, that's really, it was more about what I felt in watching you than what I was thinking logically. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like you said, locating myself autobiographically in your story. But it was really when I came to your event and I watched how you made everything about storytelling. And you talked about struggle and you talked about generosity, terms that I had just never heard in that context, and just full commitment. And that I understood. Yeah. Like I understood everything you were talking about. Like it made sense to me because it were the same things, just a different context. Yep. But what I really found to be so profound was that it just opened up a roadmap for my life. But it wasn't just me. There were 100 people in there from all these different backgrounds, as you said. Some of them in the sales arena, some of them, working in the medical sector. But they were all dealing with some pivotal moment in their life that needed to find its way into the world as a story. And you created this arena where that could happen freely and at scale. And I just think it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like to this day, I mean, do you ever just sit back and go, damn, like you and Donnie go, wow, we built that? Yeah. 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 Sometimes we do. Like when we're
when we're talking about our kids and the things that we've built inside of our marriage,
Yeah.
like you and Monty have done, like you think of your house. Well, we built that house. That's our dream house, and we built it. And then we built these kids, and we built them one at a time. And we built them in a certain way. And then we built this play that was just nothing. It was nothing there. And then now there's something there. And it has value out in the world. Then the movies, then the company, the business.
Yeah.
And you just build it because you're really good at building. Look, everybody who's listening or watching us right now has been trained to be elite at something.
Right.
And then they just throw out all that training and all the principles of the discipline of that training. They don't think it counts for anything else.
Right.
Like say I was trained at ballet of all things. That translates.
Yeah.
That there's principles in ballet that go directly into the military at elite levels.
Yeah.
That work right into writing and performing and speaking and training.
It seems like storytelling is the connective tissue of all of it. Why is that? Like, what is it about storytelling that no matter what your industry or what it is that you do, it seems to be the vehicle by which to put that into the world? I mean, it really lands with people. Yeah.
Because story makes you choose. It makes one choose. So the most important element in storytelling is conflict. Right? So if there's no conflict, there's no story.
Correct.
You're puking on your audience. So if you go to the movies, if you and me and Monty and Dawn, we go to the movies tonight, and we show up, we got our popcorn, we're watching the screen, and we don't feel or sense any conflict in that story. We are walking out.
Yeah. Or you see some leader on the stage, supposed leader, who's like, here's 3 ways to be great like me.
Yeah.
You know, and there's like, what?
Yeah.
What you say it's unwatchable.
Yep. If there's no conflict, there is no story. If there is no story and there is no conflict in that story, no one knows who to choose. No one knows their job. Audiences do not know their job if they don't get to choose. The minute that you and me saw Rocky in 1974, the second you see it, you go, that's my guy.
Yep.
I'm him. I'm with him.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit who he fights.
Yeah.
If it's a Russian, if it's Apollo Creed, if it's, I don't care who it is. He's my guy.
Yeah.
Because there's conflict. He's a bum fighter. I see myself in him.
Yeah.
I don't see myself in Apollo Creed, who's the heavyweight champion.
Right.
I don't see myself in him. I see myself in the bum fighter.
Yeah.
It's such a great example. Cain and Abel. That some say that story's been around, not Cain and Abel, great story, but another biblical story, David and Goliath.
Yeah.
Been around 4,000 years, most people say. Every person that's ever heard the story of David and Goliath has chosen one character, David. Not one person in 4,000 years who's that story has never, ever chosen Goliath. I like that.
Yeah.
I like the predictability of that in storytelling. Therefore, I'm going to always open with a story no matter what I'm doing.
Yep.
Why? Because I need the audience to locate themselves here.
Yeah.
For that, I need an enemy. I need a conflict. I need an Apollo Creed. I need a Goliath.
And this isn't reserved for just like football players and veterans. I mean, this is anybody, right? Because the brain understands storytelling first and foremost.
Yep. Look, it's been around way before football was around.
Yep.
Right? That's why look, when you're in the military, when you're in the NFL, you look around, especially elite military, when you're looking around at your other 11 dudes.
Right.
And I'm looking around at my other 44 guys. The only way you get into little groups like that, the only way is there is a level of excellence.
Yeah.
You have, and training. Everybody understands that. Everybody gets that, no matter where they come from.
Yeah.
They want to be a part of that. Well, the only reason groups like that are created, the only reason they're attractive is because there is conflict in them. Yeah. They're not gifted things.
Right.
Those people aren't given things. Everybody on this podcast has a story.
Right.
With conflict in it that they must tell, because people then locate themselves inside of your story and they trust you. Well, trust, as we all know, is like in the single digits. If you look around every institution.
Yeah, we're hungry for it. And something you always said that really resonates with me is that people choose you way before they choose anything else. They choose the storyteller.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah. Well, because they're looking for a location. You know, it's just the example just like of Rocky.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking, when that movie starts, we're looking to locate ourselves. We always are. We're looking to locate ourselves in, if you're watching a football game, you're looking to who do you identify with? Who's you out there? Who would your fantasy be? And it's always the same person. It's the person who's most conflicted. It's the one that's facing the biggest monster.
Yeah.
Which is why The Wizard of Oz, no one can take their eyes off that movie. You turn it on every Thanksgiving and you're going to watch it to the end because you don't care about this little girl from Kansas. No one cares about a little girl from Kansas skipping down a yellow brick road. Nobody cares. But you put a green witch in front of her, everybody cares. Everyone identifies with Dorothy.
Right.
And the bigger the witch is and the scarier those flying monkeys are, the better for Dorothy. The more people pick Dorothy. So for all of us here today, we're all looking at our next thing because we've all reached an elite level at something that has principles in it that go to the next thing. They work for the next thing. If you can share a story with conflict in it, meaning there's a monster in front of you, there's a fire-breathing dragon in front of you, then people are going to definitely, in fact, they can't not do this. They have to choose you. They have to choose you.
Yeah.
They can't not. Isn't that weird? They can't not if the story has conflict in it. Isn't that weird to say?
It is. And I think the thing that that has always drawn so many people to your community that you're building, because I think about like just about every friend I have today that I hang out with, Lujan, David Martin, I mean, all these, Renee, these are people that I met at your workshops.
Yeah.
You know, and they're such different backgrounds.
Yep.
But storytelling is always and struggle.
Yep.
Always the common denominator. And I just think about, you know, the Carl Rogers saying that you've made really, really impactful, which is, you know, what's personal is universal, right? Yep. And how you've brought that into, because that's the thing we try to stay away from in corporate America. It's the thing that the society tells us, no, don't talk about that because that hurts or that's, you know, that's not really cool. But yet it's the very thing that people, if you talk about it, that's where they locate themselves.
That it's the only reason you're telling your story, it's not to sing your resume to people. It's not to show credibility, although it does show that stuff.
Yep. What
it does, it makes them definitely choose. And we know who they're going to choose based on the history.
Yeah.
The history of storytelling, 4,000 years and beyond, we know who they're going to choose. Yeah. The audience, human beings, are always looking to identify themselves inside someone else's story. That's why you have to, it's a generous act to tell your story. And the more personal, the more effect you have on people.
Yeah.
But somebody made up this saying, which is completely the opposite of the way I think and the way the world actually goes. And it goes like this. Hey, let me just tell you a story. And it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about you. Run from those people. That is a narcissist.
Yeah.
That is Who says that?
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
tell the damn story. I'll locate myself where I want to.
I can figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And you see movie makers do this nowadays, where they come out and they as much as say, it would be like Mission Impossible. You're turning into you turn into Mission Impossible, and then Tom Cruise comes out and tells you what he's about to do in this story. You guys, I'm gonna do a movie for you. It's called Mission Impossible. Right. That means the mission is impossible. Yet I'm going to come through at the end. We all know that, right? That's how stupid they think the audience is.
Yeah.
I do not believe in that at all. I believe in me being the first one to dive off the diving board.
Yeah.
When I was 9 years old, I had a dream, so I drew up a 20-year plan. Already, it puts me in a vulnerable position of a kid who has a dream, and there's no way in hell that shit's coming true. And everybody locates themselves inside that sentence. Everybody. Because they all had dreams.
Yeah.
I'm talking about them. I'm them. They're me. We're one. It's a co-creation. This is why nobody trusts the news. This is why nobody trusts politicians. This is why no one trusts institutions, is because they always lead with, this is not about me. This is not personal. This is about you, the audience. And as soon as somebody tries to set it up that way, it's just bull. It just doesn't work. It's manipulation.
Yeah.
Just tell the damn story and let me choose.
Yeah.
Let me participate.
What do you say to people, for example, like in the veteran community, first responder community, who, are conditioned to not toot their own horn or talk about themselves? You really helped me a lot as I was coming through my survivor's guilt and things like that. That I remember you said to me, I was talking about just like the guys that I'd lost, and you were like, man, you've got everything you need for some great storytelling. Like, and you had a grin on your face. Like, you've got everything you need. And at first I was like, how could he even say that, But as I worked with you, I came to understand that is the essence of storytelling. It's actually the most generous thing you can do is when you repurpose that stuff in the service of other people. It's not about you. What would you say to like veterans, people that are struggling, or anybody struggling to tell the stories that are hard, the stories of where they got scuffed up?
Yep.
And it's just, it feels scary. It feels daunting. What do you say to them?
Yep. You owe us that one, that story. So, I often do this little experiment with people and just go, what's the proudest moment you've ever had in your whole life?
Right.
And I'll have them think of what that story is, and they start to get a grin on their face, and they're like, and then I'll go, okay, forget about that story because that's not useful. Yeah. That's not useful.
Shit.
No one gives a shit.
No.
Now same 5 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
What is your lowest moment? The moment that you looked around and there were no answers for you. That moment. Think about that for 5 seconds, and then inevitably they'll drop their head. Their body language will tell you, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Well, kind of like you did with the scars when Larry asked you about if your scars could talk.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
There weren't even words for it.
Yeah, not words. And a lot of military guys will go, this is bullshit.
Well, I can remember you making me say the names of my guys.
You're
and
right.
I couldn't do it. I would just sob.
Yep.
Until I could.
Yep.
Now, to this day, 12 years later, I don't ever go on the stage and not say at least 5 of them's names.
Yep.
Yep.
I remember that exact moment in La Jolla when you were on stage and you were so raw.
Yeah.
And you looked different. I was thinking about this on the drive over. You looked more boyish. You look like a boy who wasn't a boy.
Yeah.
And this is true of men. Usually the men that I work with, they look boyish. Me too. And what I said to you on that stage was said to me because I was a boy.
Yeah.
Even though, you're overseas and you're fighting your ass off and you've seen shit that no one else has seen, still a boy.
Yeah.
And that's, I recognized it. And I just said, because it was said to me years before that, was, oh, those guys that you lost over there, and the whole theater is like now tense, right? Because because you didn't say their names.
Nope.
You said you kind of said them so that you didn't have to go there.
Yeah.
You kind of said, oh, I lost this guy, I lost that, lost some guys. As if it was, we're talking about buying a popsicle.
Yeah.
And whenever I see that, I start licking my chops because I know this person is about to be armed with the greatest asset they can possibly have. And an asset that could make the difference in millions of people's lives and make them a lot of money, more money than they ever thought of, and just have impact on other people.
Yeah. And you did, and you have. And I think that's the thing that I look at now, the community that you all have built and the people that are doing this. You know, I don't even know if you guys fully realize the scope of it, honestly. But I know, just like for me and Monty, in our world, you know, the play Last Out.
Yep.
I would never have done that shit had you not only talked about your play, but, and this is the other thing too, man, and I want to say this to like anybody watching this, is that when you work with Bo, is that the generosity transcends into your own life too. Because you suggested to me at some point, I don't know when it was, like, you should write a play. Like, it was casual in terms of, but you were serious and you kind of stayed on me about it. And then when I came to you with it, like, I think I want to do this, you just gave me all the time in the world to do it and helped me through it. And I think that's something that for all of us as storytellers is you run those miles and then you pour it back into the next storyteller. And that's when you really see the exponential impact, right? Is when you see people, and I think it's when you can see that struggle in them and you hold space for them to find it and share it. And then all of a sudden it goes in directions you could never imagine.
Yep. Yeah. You got to always think of who are the people we're not hearing from. I always ask that question of yourself. Who am I not hearing from? And you better find out from them what their story is. Because for one, they're going to be reluctant to tell it. They just are. That's how heroes are. Heroes, and it's a long lost art, this heroism. It is a long lost art. They are reluctant to lead. They're a lead, but they don't want to. They'll get up there, but they don't want to brag. They don't want to tell their own story.
Yeah.
Those are the storytellers. Those are the best storytellers.
Yeah. And I found that when they can see that it's actually not about them, as Larry told you that time when I think your family was coming to the play. Yeah. And you were, kind of worried about that. And first time that they seen it, and he's like, it's not even about you.
Yeah.
It's about the story.
Yep.
And I always remembered that because I found myself in similar situations with our play when buddies of mine would be out in the audience and I was freaking out over it. And I would just tell myself that it's not even about me. I may be the protagonist in this story, but actually they're locating themselves in the story anyway. They're actually the hero in it, or the protagonist. What is your hope for where you go from here? Like when you think about, what are you excited about now at this point in your life? I mean, you've built this entire storytelling arena that's really just doing amazing things. What's next for you? What are you excited about?
Yeah, it's funny. It seems like every 15 years, I get a little bit restless.
Yeah.
And it's about the 15-year mark.
I'll be damned.
And I'm just like, I'm actually asking myself for the last year, I would say, maybe a little bit more. Because my kids are now, moving on to college and one left in high school. And my influence on them is their trajectory set.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah.
They're good to go. I'm wondering where I've been, just thinking about like, where am I going to put that energy? And, what am I going to do? And I've never really, I've never really considered coaching people one-on-one.
Huh.
It's just too expensive, you know?
Yep.
I've had people inquire about it,
Yeah.
but you know, just given the economics of it, I've just never thought, wow, you know, that's going to cost that person too much money for me to coach. You know, if it's not a group setting, it's going to be too much for people to be interested in that. And for the first time, and I guess it's as my son, you know, leaves for college, and we've just spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
And because he has this dream that's really a rough one. I mean, it's going to be tough. There's, you know, less people do this dream than our senators in the United States. So and so I felt like it took a lot of me, just like we talked about with my dad and your dad, about their ability to sit there patiently and allow you to live into your dream without saying anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I got to do that with my son, and now he's off, and I've got this, it just seems like an opening.
Right.
To coach.
Yeah.
Like the next
That's cool.
thing.
Yeah.
So I haven't done it yet. Just thinking about how I would do it and how I've done it in the past without knowing I was doing it.
Yeah.
Much like your dad and my dad did with us. That kind of mentorship, that kind of coaching.
Yeah.
Where it's less about do this and do that.
Right.
It's more about your vision for you that you have for another person.
Yeah.
And you just be patient enough to allow them to live into that thing.
And it's involved too. I mean, I think about how you've coached me over the years, and it's an iterative process. And I mean, there's a whole person involvement there. The way that you coach, anyway.
Yeah,
it's not just a technical acumen. There's a whole person element to it. Where you've got to give that space to evolve. You know, I could totally see you doing that, man. I think that would be, I could totally see you doing that.
Yeah, cool.
You know, Steve Pressfield told me once when I was coming out of the military, he was asking me kind of what was next. And he says that our archetypes, you know, are constantly changing, who we are as a person and the role that we play. And that one of the most important things that we can do is be open to that and notice when that archetypal change is starting to happen. And that sounds like that's exactly what it is with you right now.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like that. And it feels kind of effortless.
Yeah.
Where the rest of my life feels full of effort. You know, like
100%.
my up to these 64 years.
Yeah. You know what he calls that? And we were talking about that too, is the artist journey. So it's his, I think it was like, so there's the War of Art, turning pro, and then the artist journey. And I want to bounce this off. Have you read that one yet?
Yeah. I've read it, but years ago.
So the premise being, you know, you come back from the hero's journey, and the artist journey is in the wake of the hero's journey, right? So you come back to the shore with a gift for the people, and now there's this new journey that you ride to the end of the line, and the only big difference is that you kind of know what the hell you're doing now.
Yeah, right.
And I thought, man, that's a pretty cool.
That's really cool. That's how it
framing. Is that what it feels like?
It feels, and I see this in the culture just based on our longevity.
Yeah.
You know, and I always think, wow, as soon as I feel like I know something, like I'm wise enough to share this or know this, that's about the time where we just die. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like my dad, your dad, you know, they died at 80. So they knew a lot at 80. They've seen a lot.
So much.
Like
generational wisdom.
Right? But now, without the ability to share it.
Yes.
But it's been passed on through us, so we got that. Right? But I got a feeling we're going to live longer than them.
Yeah.
There's an impact, and I talked about this for a second ago, but who are we not hearing from?
Yeah.
Who are we not hearing from? It's older. It's more like Obi-Wan Kenobi mentorship.
Yep.
Somebody who actually knows something, who's run a lot of miles, has a lot of scars to show for it.
Yep.
A lot of bloody noses, a lot of bar fights.
Yep.
And is still standing.
Yeah.
I like that person in my corner. I want to pass that on.
I love it. Makes so much sense.
That way.
Yeah, because they're not exactly sure how to tell their story if anybody wants to hear it.
Yeah.
When in reality, that's the very person they want to hear from.
Yeah.
You know, my dad said that age is really unique because you finally figured out what you're doing and you're young enough to still do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of our dads, as we kind of wrap this up, you know, Jerry Lujan, our mutual friend, you know, his dad, Edward, you know, I never got to meet your dad, but my dad was a huge fan of yours. I mean, like he, you know, in many ways felt like you were his own kid. He came to your workshop even when he was 73. And I don't know if you knew this, but he came to your workshop and he was about to do a TED Talk. And he had just come out of cancer. And he had 2 artificial hips put in. And so Jean-Louis was doing the animal work, right? And so all of the participants are on the ground being different animals so that they could bring that physicality out. My dad, 73, I couldn't find him and I was getting worried. I'm like, what the hell, man? Is he hurt? And I'm looking over all the chairs in the theater and I look down and there he is on all fours and he looks up at me. He says, "What's the matter, boy? You never seen a bear with 2 metal hips?" He was doing the black grit, but he says to this day, or until he passed, that really helped him, you know, with his physical. At 73, he learned that physicality and took it on. And he was always super grateful to you for the work that you poured into me. It just meant a lot. And so, you know, your dad always talked about being the best. My dad always talked about leading tracks. But I wanted to give you this. This is one of the last bottles that my dad had made out of American chestnut. You know, this was the tree that he was so adamant about restoring that he gave his TED Talk on that you helped prepare him for. 250,000 views.
Wow.
Now by the old woodsman. And this is made out of split rail fence from the eastern seaboard. It's over 250 years old. But it's kind of got the scuffs and the scars on it like we do. But I just know he would love for you to have it, man. So this is just a small token from him and me, and really everybody, man, that you've made such an impact on as a mentor and a coach, and what you've brought to the storytelling arena. It's unprecedented, and there's a lot of people that are in this world right now doing it because of you, man. So
appreciate that, man. Wow, the woodsman, Rex. Leave tracks, baby.
Yeah.
How old is this?
It's over 250 years old.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a split rail fence. And this the guy that carved that was also a forester, but he was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam, Mike Ash, who was shot down. And so he carved those things. And that's the stash that Dad had that was the original batch right there. But he also, you know who else has one of those is Ahmed Massoud, who is the leader of the Northern Alliance right now, the National Resistance Front in Afghanistan. Sean Ryan and I went over and gave him one because Dad wanted him to have one because just like the resistance in Afghanistan, the roots on that tree aren't dead.
Wow.
As long as the roots are still in the earth, you still have a fighting chance. So, but it's storytelling, right? I mean, once again, just the power of it. Yeah. But what have we not talked about today that you'd like to say to folks watching this about their story, about leadership in the country? What's kind of on your heart that we haven't hit?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, you and the people that follow you, I would guess, I have no, you know, knowledge of this, but would be my gut or my instinct, is that you're exactly who we've been talking about as far as like, who haven't we heard from? You know, guy, you know, my dad fought on the front lines in Korea. I have an uncle, his brother was killed in Vietnam. I know how, you know, humble. And I love that about But the people who we haven't heard from are humble.
And we need to hear from them.
Yeah. It's the only ones we should be hearing from.
100%.
We don't need to be hearing from people who love to talk.
Yeah, enough out of them.
Right. What'd you say?
Enough out of them, man.
We got it.
Yeah.
We're like, got it.
Yeah.
Let's hear from the people we don't. So, and there's a reason why we haven't heard from them.
Yeah.
Their stories are powerful and they cost something.
Yeah.
They cost the teller.
Yeah. There's weight.
There's weight. You have to, there's a cost to you if you tell your story. A lot of pain.
Yeah.
A lot of healing. A lot of like guttural shit happens when people like you tell your story. And here's what I would say. You owe us that story. You ran the miles. You paid the price.
Yeah.
Already. You owe us that story. The people who haven't paid the price need to know it.
Yeah.
Need to know that story.
What's the cost if they don't? What's the cost if we don't?
Yeah, then you just, you die with that on your lips.
Yeah.
And you just with regret. Probably.
Yeah. Which I think is the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because it's valuable. Stories have value. I often, when I'm working in the financial world, I'll put a price tag on a story just to indicate to them, because that's how they're wired for the most part. They want to know, well, what is the value of that story? And I'll say, okay, I've told this story and only this story for 17 years. One story. And if I added up whatever price that is, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It didn't start out that way. Didn't start out with like, well, I'll make a lot of money telling story. That's not how great storytellers start off telling stories.
Yeah.
They tell the story because it's the only way they can survive.
Yeah.
So they got to get it out of their mouth and off of this body that can't hold it anymore.
Yeah.
It's just too much. There's too big a price for you to pay.
I'll give you an example. Monty and I just went to Tallahassee to the Florida State Congress for their budget cycle to get funding for Last Out, the play, to continue on into the future. And my one-man show with the Pineapple Express, we had office calls with a senator and a congressman, state level, that ran the budget committee as sponsors. We had just under 5 minutes with each one of them. And in each one of those stories, I started off in a closet holding a pistol, and ended up with the play. We were funded for $350,000. So if you divide that by 8 minutes, what is that per minute?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the narrative value of that? Like it's profound.
Yep.
Regardless
what is think about the cost of not having those 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The cost of not having it.
Yeah.
And now that play is going to be seen by who?
Oh.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it ended up being sponsored by Gary Sinise.
Right. Gary, you're right.
40 cities.
Yeah.
I think we've performed it for over 100 Gold Star families.
Yep.
Just that alone, like just that impact right there. And I think a lot of suicides probably prevented too.
Right. And now who out of all those people that saw that play are going into their businesses, into their dream world, their dream life?
Yeah.
They're starting with their story only because somebody gave them the permission to do so.
Yeah.
You told a story that you were brave enough to tell, which then gave them permission to be brave enough to tell their own. And that's valuable.
So what's the very next thing somebody should do if they're thinking about like that and they want to get their story into the world? What would you tell them?
I would do that 5-second exercise for one. Start there. Start and go, where were there no answers for me? Where did I have that pistol in a closet in my mouth?
Yeah.
What is that?
That dark night of the soul.
Yeah. It's usually on a gurney. It's usually in a closet with a gun. It's usually, getting dumped at the prom.
Yeah.
It's painful and there's no answers.
And it's personal.
Yeah, it's personal. And that thing is all people care about you. You tell that, they trust you, they care about you.
Because that's where they are.
Because that's where they are. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That gives them permission to go forward. So you have a valuable thing that you've already paid you've already suffered for years carrying around this story.
Yeah.
You already have it. You just haven't shared it.
Yeah.
That's where the value comes in. That's where you got to get to. So you got to get to the point where you're around people who are doing this, a guy like you or a guy like me, who train people to do this, to actually get on your feet and do it.
Yeah.
And now listen, I'm not saying it's going to be the most fun you've ever had. I'm not going to say that. It'll end up being fun.
Yeah.
But at first, it's not fun.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. But on the other side of it, it sure as hell is.
Yeah.
It's optimal health, as you say.
Yeah, it's optimal health.
Yeah.
And now you really have a voice in the world. Scott, you've always had a voice as a Green Beret. I've had a voice as an NFL player, but not outside of that.
Right.
Right? Not really outside of it because I didn't know it was okay. No one gave me the permission to take all the perspective that I have and all the pain that I've had or you've had, and then share it with people. That's the good shit. That's where listen.
People are starving for it.
Yep. No one trusts anybody anymore. Nobody cares. No one trusts unless you tell that story. Then they don't have a choice. They have to choose you. They have to trust you.
I love
it's
it.
just how it goes.
Wow. How do people connect with you, follow you, work with you? What would you tell them?
You know, a good place to start with me is my book.
It's a great book.
It's a great book.
Talk about the book.
It really is. It's called There's No Plan B for Your A Game. It's strictly if I didn't have the dad I did, I would have never wrote that book. I would have never.
And we'll put the link in there too.
Yeah, I never would have wrote a play. I never wrote a play pro football. He just woke me up, and he woke up my 5 older siblings, and told us we were the best. Well, that's how he woke us up.
This was your dad.
This is my dad.
Yeah,
you're the best. And so when you grow up that way, you have certain expectations on you.
Yeah.
And so we learned very quickly that there's just no options if you're going to be the best at whatever you choose.
Right.
There's just not an option. There's not any out.
Yeah.
There's no lesser dream. There's just no other options. And so that's why the book's title is There's No Plan B for Your A Game. It's just about bringing in these visions that we have for ourselves, these dreams that we have for ourselves into existence, which I've been able to do, like 4 or 5 times during my lifetime because they take a long time. They don't have to. I've since learned, that there's this science of time, they call it. They made up this term called the science of time. And I'm like, well, why didn't I know that shit? Because I always took 20 years for everything.
Same.
Right?
Shit.
But we actually, that's how we learn the science of time, right? We don't need that much time. We just took that much time because we had to grow into it.
Yeah. Okay.
But we don't have to do that anymore now that we know the principles.
Yeah.
And now it's
just trust the process.
Yeah. Now it's quick.
Yeah.
So that's a good place to start. There's no plan B for your A game. You can go to boeasonbook.com
Okay.
and pick up that book. And if you'll allow this, Scott, I'll give them. I have this. It's free. It's a story guide, and it will get them. It's a video
100%.
that will start them on their story.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll put it. We'll put it at the end.
Yeah, and all they have to do is text the word guide because it's a story guide. Text the word guide to a cell phone number, my cell phone number, which is 323-310-5504.
Cool.
So if you text guide to that, you'll automatically get the video, and they'll get started on their story, on their personal story.
That's fantastic.
And they get that up and running right away.
Yep.
So those are good places to start. But the thing is you just don't know your value unless you have somebody in your life that sees it and goes like this: "Hey man, I think you should tell that story. Yeah. Hey man, I think you should continue this dream that you have. Hey man, I think you should sign up for the Green Berets."
I love it when someone says something and you stop them, and you go, say that right there, say that, or you tell them to write it down, because And most people are so surprised. I know I was, because no one ever did that for me.
Yeah.
No one ever, like said to me, say that.
Yeah.
That has power.
Yep.
And all of us can do that for people.
Yep.
You don't need a license for it.
Yep.
That's
And
good stuff.
there's no business that you guys can't create. Whoever listening to this, who's ever attracted to what Scott Mann has to say, already has the principles in place to be a great storyteller and to build a business or a few businesses, or write a book, or create a speech, or write a one-man show, or write movies. You have all that ability sitting right inside you.
Yeah.
Because you showed up at this podcast. And I don't think that's an accident.
Yeah.
I think people draw an audience that has certain backgrounds and has certain principles that they adhere to, and has created something and is attracted to somebody else who created something. Well, that one story, that one that you will not tell right today, that one, that will create everything for you.
It's absolutely true. I mean, the story you helped me craft is the one that evolved into the play and everything that's happened since then.
Yeah.
All those years ago, man. Listen, brother, I cannot thank you enough.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I don't know how many times we've done this, but I hope we do it more, because it's one of my favorite things in the world to do. Thank you for being part of this, Bo.
Good.
And for being part of our life.
Yeah.
It's hugely appreciated.
Thank you.
Everybody, thanks for watching. We're going to wrap it up here with the podcast. If you liked it, please share it. Anybody that you know that wants to be a storyteller, needs to tell their story, share this with them. Give us a review and subscribe to the podcast. Thanks for what you do. We'll see you on the rooftop.